Have you heard of Kaizen or constant improvement? Many people struggle to actually implement it. So I make this video to show you how we do it in my company. My venture studio, Pairing, creates SaaS products, and my team of around 10 rockstar developers have learned how to apply Kaizen on a daily basis. The benefits of Kaizen are visible to me on a daily basis. And in this video, we're going to discuss the 6 core concepts from starting small to transparency. In 2018, I started as a freelancer, and my client was German, and they had a long release cycle. It took us sometimes weeks to make a new version of the software. And that really prohibited us of continuously improving something small because the features were always so big and there was so much pressure of releasing the software after a couple of weeks. And now, as I run my own software company, we noticed that Kaizen is really the way to go. Why? Because small improvements lead to big achievements over time. And this is how we implement Kaizen in my company. The Kaizen philosophy is built on several fundamental principles. And the first is continuous improvement. The process of improvement is never ending. No matter how well a process is working, it can always be made slightly better. This is often executed using PDCA cycle: plan, do, check, act. The most important thing we are doing at my company is the bottleneck analysis. And that's a meeting we're having every single week. And it's usually after the daily stand-up. Let's say on a Monday, we meet, and after the stand-up, we talk about the current bottlenecks. That's even a Kanban board we have. Everybody writes down what are things that could be working better, or what are obvious problems in our process, and then we brainstorm ideas in how to fix them, and we move the cards of the Kanban board to the stage of when they're implemented. So if someone has an idea, we might do it next week, or we might take it right now as a quick win to improve the process and make our overall system faster. I actually learned this from Alex Hormozi, who approaches all his company building by bottlenecks. This is really how he grows his companies, and why wouldn't we grow our software business in the same way? The second is small incremental steps. Focus on simple, low-cost improvements that can be implemented immediately rather than complex projects that require large investments and long planning phases. The best example is Apple. And look at their iPhone line. This is how they evolved the iPhone, and every iPhone got just a bit of a better processor every single time. And now they're at the point where they can run AI models directly on the device. If you look at it from outside, nothing has moved. And every single year, someone mocks Apple for just changing the camera somewhere. And this is really not the point. The point is the processors always get better. And this is how you actually roll out really big changes over time. Every release is just a tiny bit better, and over time it compounds. In my company, how we deal with this is we create so-called technical sketches. That's a sketch for a certain feature, and alongside comes with all the UI elements and processes and database changes, we also have a checklist. So I ask my team to always create a merge request very fast, attach the technical sketch, and then plan out the first steps. It could be just 5 checklist items on how to implement this. And this completely eliminates coder's block and gets people to code the feature much faster. Number 3, involvement of all employees. Improvement is everyone's job, from the CEO to the frontline worker. Since the people doing the work know the most about the process, they are the ones empowered to identify and suggest fixes. I have worked with a couple of teams that faced too many bugs in their software, and they tried different approaches, namely 2. One was to have one assigned person to be the bug tracker, and the other approach was to have a dedicated team that were created in order to take care of bugs and platform fixes and making things faster. And they didn't really work. Why? Because people need to clean up their own stuff. When someone messes up a process, if a developer codes something that's not efficient and someone else cleans up after them, they would never learn how to do it in the first place. And that's what in our company, everybody is involved in the bottleneck analysis, and everybody has to refactor their own code. Also, everybody has to ship code to production. There is no dedicated person who makes the release and puts it there. Everybody is responsible. Number 4, elimination of waste. The goal is to identify and remove all non-value adding activities, waste, in a process to make it leaner and more efficient. In my company, we tried pair programming, and I tried to ask the developers to do pair programming, and it was always a bit forced. And we even had a meeting where I asked them to spot each other, to kind of monitor what the other person is doing and then document how the person can improve. While that yielded some good results for me, the developers didn't like it at all. And so we eliminated this kind of idea. We don't do this anymore. And now what happens is people still do pair programming, but when they need. They have a problem, something that they need fixing, something where they need technical help. They reach out to another team member and they do it ad hoc. There is no set meeting because that just was waste and we had to get rid of that. Number 5, process focus. Kaizen emphasizes improving the process first, which will naturally lead to better results. The logic is flawed processes produce flawed results regardless of how hard people work. Let's talk about process. And you see these YouTube videos and you maybe have seen already some B-roll, the secondary action, where you maybe have seen me in different scenes. This is intentional. This is because we fix the process before we run a process inefficiently over and over again. The way it works is this. We designed how a video should be and we have a script, and we also note down what should be the B-roll, what should be the extra visuals you would need in order to understand the video better. We coded the so-called footage fox. This is our internal tool that we use in order to give B-roll over to the editors, and the editor has a way to look up B-roll and use it over and over again. So for example, they can go in, they can say, I want to have Till in a meeting at nighttime. They type it in, click search, and now they have the B-roll and can use it. Before, they would go into Google Drive and didn't have the right tools in order to pull out the B-roll that they would need, but now they have. And that's why we focus on building this early on to make every video faster after that. Number 6, transparency. Improvement should be based on facts and data collected at the Gemba, Japanese for the actual place where value is created, like the factory floor or the workspace. This requires leadership and staff to observe the process firsthand. How do we apply transparency in our company? In my company, we are doing a couple of things to increase transparency. The first is when someone creates a feature, everybody else knows. So there's a Kanban card that gets moved and there's a merge request being created. Even if the code is not done, the merge request contains all the important features that the developer is going to do, and then also the technical sketch, so the other developers can see what this person is working on. The second thing is the daily stand-up, where everybody knows what everybody else is working on. And then we also have this checkout system, where in the end of the day, the developer would state exactly what they worked on and link up the resources they used. But then there's more. We also have a Grafana system, where the developers see exactly how the production system runs and if there's any inefficiencies. They can log in and they see how fast the application responds and if there's any error across the system. And probably the most important thing is we don't do staging systems. And I know that's a controversial decision, but I really stand for that. If we push small changes into the production system over and over again, the developer needs to make sure that things work. There is no barrier in between. There's no staging system where the developer can relax and say, well, I gave it to the testers and now they have to figure out to make a release. We do releases, but they're very small and incremental, and they can even be from feature to feature or from fix to fix. And that way, the developer stays engaged and makes sure the production data is always perfect. In summary, Kaizen rejects the status quo and constantly asks, how can we make this better? How have you applied Kaizen in your company? Leave a comment below. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe so we can see each other more often.